Oh, good evening. We're on a journey. It's 9:37 p.m. Perhaps a little later than that. Oh, Jai Bhagwan, the warrior must go on. Focusing on the light, no matter how many times the darkness expresses itself. Despite its presence, the more you focus on it, the more power you give it. In many ways, you unconsciously, unknowingly speak and behave in such ways that speak another language that only people who really truly care and know you and focus can recognize, know, and see truth as it is, instead of the narrative that it may be painted by society or the self. Okay. So, as I was attempting to paint a picture for you in your mind before about how sometimes we tell ourselves a story and we mean it with all our heart and we want to mean it, but our heart's just not there. It's really hard to explain, okay? Like, a lot of times people say one thing and they do another. Their actions speak a language that words could never summarize. It's the whole feeling and being. And other times, people are so painted in other pictures, like they allow themselves to be tainted by their past experiences. So therefore, perhaps they feel like they can never love again because they had a bad experience, and therefore they close themselves off and they paint everyone those same colors, that same picture, that same story, because they're heartbroken, and they keep living out the same song over and over again of becoming heartbroken by choosing to stick to that narrative. There seems to be a common behavior of what I identify and know as serial monogamy. It's where people jump from one relationship to another because they are truly love addicts. And they really just get off on the high of a new relationship. And they truly don't fully understand commitments and being in a committed relationship and really choosing their partner day in and day out and choosing to unconditionally love them, their friends, and family. And as you may see, it's like sometimes we don't always have a choice because the heart speaks a language of itself too, where it says, oh, I really love this. I really enjoy this. In many ways, I'm terrified by everything that I enjoy. I once questioned an interrogation officer, and he taught me and trained me with my own provocative question, of course. I asked him, so, how do you get people to tell you, or like, yeah, how do you get what you're looking for, I'm like, what do you feed off of people's fears? And he told me, no, we feed off of what they love. Of course, right? your attachments, the symbolisms, the essence, the esoteric. It's quite heavy to comprehend and to fully understand physics and mass, circumference, density, etc. I apologize if this vocabulary isn't meeting you at this time. Moving on, I'd like to express my concern for the collective and the disgrace that has occurred, mainly where you have taken pride and thought and assumed there's only one you and that you know everything and that every story in your head is true, and that is your ego and the shadow and the devil in you, where you think that you know better than God, or that you can create and force something or have your expectation come true and you can manipulate forces, or your bad intentions, right? And you can say that you're one way in your heart, but really like it's another way, and you paint it one type of language but really comes out different ways. You know, maybe you say you really wish to be of service, but really like you really don't have the energy to be serving because you haven't really even invested in yourself yet to really grow. I'm only speaking from personal experience, you know. That's where I have grown and am constantly blooming from the wounds where I once bled. Quote. I love that quote. It's quite magical. There's such a lack of care and consideration for others. People aren't giving another space to really become rooted. You know, some plants just simply can't grow together. It doesn't make each plant bad. And ATCG is the 4 nucleotides that says that we share the same DNA as plants and animals. As I proceed to communicate constantly. This guy. It's just right up. It's just red. Yeah. Shed some light, right? Oh, it's funny. There's so many people that will talk about you, you know, when you're right there. And they act like they can't hear you. Or like you can't hear them, should I say. There's so many distractions as well. And people will pride themselves on taking you away from God, between you and your relationship and your personal sadhana, your personal journey, your dharma. People will judge it, analyze it, and paint it all kinds of different colors, and it's not theirs. And you can look at it through their lenses and hold yourself back and deny yourself. Or you can stay true and show yourself the truth by speaking with your actions and showing up how you really care. Partially heartbroken, partially moved, partially traumatized by my own personal narrative, where like I told myself one story and I doubted myself in another way. And only through experience did I really come to know which way to show up, which way to act, to follow through on the energies in motion. There's so many different layers that you can peel back, and it becomes frustrating, so frustrating. some of the same lessons you thought you had already mastered. And then learning through intimate experience, another way of identifying and understanding. It's quite the process. It's time for a much needed recharging of the batteries and a great nurturing to the self and the cells and the feelings, and being with the feelings instead of denying them, and instead of having expectations of other people, either recreating those emotions or taking care of them or removing them, all of that. It's up to you to take responsibility. You keep shifting all that responsibility. Be gentle with yourself and be patient. And know that each and every individual energetic signature has a divine process. And you cannot force my heart is broken from my inaction, my lack of support to myself, my lack of belief, my lack of faith and structure, and also my harsh judgments, right? Where I have allowed the devil to creep in, right? You have to let God in, and the devil like just comes in and out, right? Oh man, excuse like the cheesy narrative in some levels, okay? I get some of you that are rather allergic to any spiritual language. I emphasize. Alright. May this be a great goodbye, and thank you for allowing me to share what I have received. If you wish for me to continue, or if you wish to have personal attention, you know what to do. Make sure to communicate and know what you're really choosing and identifying with.